Yo, what's up guys? I just kind of wanted to make a nice chill video today about Iron Mace kind of gave us a 1-2 punch this week, back-to-back hotfixes today and yesterday. So there's a lot to cover, and I wanted to share with you guys kind of my thoughts on how the meta is changing and the direction the game is going in general. And in the background I put some nice wizard gameplay, and the reason I did that is to pay homage to the wizards and the wizard players, because you might not see so many of them anymore. So I'll just start at the top here from yesterday's patch notes. An additional character slot has been added. You can now have one of each class. This is good. They return the currency. Game time's been increased for pretty much like across all maps. Very good. Protection Shrine got nerfed. That's fine. You get XP from pots and crates now. The armor rating curve has been modified yet again. And basically they nerfed physical damage reduction again. So fighters taking another L. And rogues got absolutely murked. So rogues now have a movement speed penalty of 30 flat movement speed that you lose after double jumping, and you lose that for 3 seconds. Weak point doesn't reduce by 50% damage reduction anymore. It reduces by 40% armor rating. It's still good, still not bad. Rogues can no longer equip the hand crossbow, but actually there's now a perk. Today's hotfix actually added a perk for rogues to get back their hand crossbow, but you might not actually want it. We'll get to that. Fighter taunt nerf, fighter barricade, who cares? Fighter barricade plus armor rating instead of damage reduction. Yeah, just damage reduction nerfs. Ranger buffs. Yeah, just what we needed. Bard, Den of Darkness got murked. It does nothing now. Instruments are bard only. No more Barbarian throwing drums, breaking down doors. Significantly reduced the values of physical damage reduction as a stat. That's, whatever. Falchion damage has been reduced. Thank goodness. That thing was like so overpowered. It's crazy. All crossbows across the board have got armor pen, and so do Flying Mace and Morningstar, and Warmaul has a ton of armor pen now. Magic staves now have a magical damage stat. The most magic damage you can get is now on a staff, which is kind of crazy. And that was all of yesterday's, so now let's get into today's. Healing potions have been rebalanced. The time duration of potions has been increased from 20 seconds to 45 seconds, and healing potions no longer stack. So what this means is you can no longer drink like a gray potion and then a white potion and get both the healing effects at the same time. If you drink a gray potion and then a white potion, your gray potion will just delete as if you never drank it, and it'll be completely overwritten by the white potion. The duration increased from 20 seconds to 45 seconds. When I first read this, I thought like, oh, we're gonna get like double healing from potions now because they last twice as long. Nope, they still heal the exact same amount. They just do it way slower. And then if we look at bandages now heal 15 recoverable health on use, meaning you cannot heal to full on bandages anymore. You can only heal recoverable health with bandages. If you want to heal to full, you have to use either like a cleric or a potion or a health shrine. There's no other way. You have to use potions, and potions are way nerfed. So healing in general without a cleric is just way harder now. So this is like a massive cleric buff, but we're also going to get into a pretty massive cleric nerf. Hand crossbow damage decreases dramatically the further the bolt travels. So basically damage fall off at range. It's pretty brutal. You don't have to be very far away at all before you're dealing like half damage. And then the penalty got increased, so you're slower while holding the hand crossbow. Overall, the hand crossbow just, you have to take a perk to use it, and it's significantly weaker than it was before, and it's almost not even worth taking. Throwing knife buff, I don't know how significant it is, probably doesn't really matter. Hunting traps no longer require a skill check. The first ranger nerf we've seen in quite some time, long overdue. If you were one of the few people that watched my last hotfix video where I covered that hotfix, my initial reaction was that rangers would become the meta and rangers would be super OP. And I kind of think that I was right, and that they are the meta, they were the meta, and since then they've gotten nothing but buffs and buffs while everyone else has been nerfed and nerfed. So if they weren't meta then, they're certainly very, very strong now. Almost without debate, they're like the best class in the game right now. Rangers are crazy. Hunting traps not requiring a skill check does not really hurt them at all. Hunting traps are still brutal. You step in a hunting trap, if the ranger's still around, you're pretty much dead. Attribute bonus ratio of all spells has been adjusted to 50%. This is a massive, massive, massive change. It's hard to even state how large of a change this is. Essentially, it just nerfs all scaling for wizards and clerics by like 50%. So like before, if you would have got, plus 20 magical damage on your wizard, right? All your spells are now dealing 20 more damage. Now they'll deal 10 more damage because you have 50% attribute bonus ratio. Not only that, but your magic power bonus is also being cut in half. So if you had enough will to do like 40% more magic damage before, now you're only going to be doing 20% more. If you want like more in-depth stats and numbers and examples, I highly recommend you go check out Cloud's video that he posted earlier. His video goes super in-depth and covers like exactly how the stat calculations work and the damage calculations. He goes way more in depth than I'm going to, but just know like it's a really big nerf for highly geared wizards and clerics. Clerics are healing a lot less and wizards are dealing a lot less. And also, I'm not 100% sure, but warlocks might be healing a lot less as well, because the warlocks spells will not benefit. They'll benefit at half the magical healing from before. So if you had +6 magical healing on your warlock, now it'll only be like you're getting +3. And then we got some compensation down here for the wizard. The fireball splash damage is increased by 5, ice bolts increased by 5, and arcane shield nerfed. Arcane Shield was super duper good, especially because it scaled with your magic power bonus. And yeah, I mean, you were able to reduce like 50 damage with Arcane Shield. Gave the wizard a crazy amount of tankiness. I still think it'll be decent, but I think 10 spell is honestly better now. Movement speed and action speed reduction due to Frostbite. So Frostbite slows you by 20% instead of 15%. So a big Viola buff, like anybody's gonna know about that, Viola. Causing frostbite, but mainly it's for the wizard's frost spell, Frostbolt. And there we go, the hand crossbow mastery perk has been added for the rogue, and the high roller dungeon is now 50 gold instead of 100 until the wipe. Now I want to talk about this last change. It seems as though recently Iron Mace has been updating the game a lot, and most of the updates that they've been doing are exactly what people have been asking for. Like, they're doing a really good job of listening to the community, and I think the Den nerf is like a good example of that, right? Like the fact that they immediately just gutted that tells me that like they're paying good attention, they're watching a lot of content creators, they're seeing what people are doing, and that's really good. And one of the other things that people have been complaining about a lot, high roller is not worth it, and no one is playing high roller because it's not worth it. And there's two solutions. Number one is it costs too much, so you could lower the cost. Number two is the rewards aren't good enough, so you can increase the rewards. What this looks like to me is it looks like they are doing one solution temporarily, and then they're going to implement the other solution. So what I would anticipate is that because they're lowering the gold to 50 now, but they are raising it back up to 100 on wipe, I think we can expect an update on wipe that is going to actually make high roller significantly more rewarding. I think what they want to do is they want to make high roller way more worth it and keep the 100 gold fee. That's definitely one way to go about it, and if it actually is worth it, I think a lot more people will be running high roller. As it stands right now, I mean, at least before the 50 gold change, almost no one was playing high roller. High roller was completely not worth doing unless you are the top 0.1% of players that can steamroll every lobby. So what do I think about the changes in general? Well, I think in general, rogues are quite a bit weaker. I think in general, wizards are quite a bit weaker, and I don't think wizards needed to be weaker. I've seen some streams already today, and the damage that the high-end wizards have lost is just crazy. Zap feels like it's tickling. Lightning Strike lost a bunch of damage, but I will say in general, the wizard meta with the arcane shield nerfs, I can safely say that 10 spell wizard is probably just flat out better than arcane shield wizard now. I think wizard's still definitely playable for the determined players that want to play it well and play it right. As for rangers, I mean, they're just clearly the best, right? I mean, like, the damage reduction nerfs, the ranger buff with the pen shot, the crossbow buffs with all the armor penetration, like, I think if anything needs a nerf next, it's gonna be the rangers. Like, the rangers are absolutely taking over. As for fighters are just kind of bad now. I mean, they don't have a lot of damage reduction. Rangers will probably destroy them now, especially with all the armor pin. Wizards will probably still destroy them. I've already destroyed a few of them today. It really doesn't have a lot of things going for it right now after the updates. Cleric, I mean, it's a class I don't play. I don't really know how hard the nerfs and stuff are hitting the Cleric. I imagine Clerics are healing a lot less now, but Clerics are needed a lot more now because of the healing changes. Clerics are like necessary now. And now Bard. Oh my gosh, bro. Bard has been hit with a couple nerfs, but the only nerf that happened in the past 2 days with Bard was the Den of Darkness nerf, and I'm gonna be honest, I didn't even know that that was a thing until they nerfed it. Bard is just very, very good without it. Like, I never used it on Bard. Not once. I didn't even run the song one time. I thought it was terrible. The song, you don't need Den of Darkness for Bard to be good. Bard is insanely good regardless. When wipe happens on Monday, I'll be streaming live, twitch.tv/nottooshotty, by the way. But when wipe happens, you can expect to see Clerics and Bards like everywhere. And if you don't have a Bard and or a Cleric, you should probably have both in your team on wipe day, you're just going to be at a massive disadvantage. It's just what it is. This kind of creates an interesting meta where like Ranger is probably the best class, but then Bard and Cleric are also just insanely good, and you kind of feel like you need both of them on your team. But then at the same time, Bard, Cleric, Ranger doesn't really work as well. So Ranger, Bard, Cleric is probably not an ideal comp, despite them all three probably being the strongest 3 classes in the game. So realistically, it's kind of a pick your poison meta where either you have a Ranger as your carry, and then either a Bard or a Cleric plus another DPS, like a frontline, like a Barbarian or a Fighter. Or you just go Bard, Cleric, and then Wizard, or Bard, Cleric, Fighter, Bard, Cleric, Rogue, any Bard, Cleric, melee composition. But I think that's everything I wanted to cover. I love to see them trying out new things. I love to see them make massive sweeping changes that really just change the way the whole game feels. I can't really complain. They're testing stuff out. It's early access after all. I don't think that the healing changes were necessary, and I think in general the game will feel a lot harder for especially new players. But you know, it is what it is, and overall I'm glad to see them making changes. So that's pretty much everything I wanted to cover. Thanks for watching. Come check out the stream on Monday. Not Too Shoddy out.